Live from twitch.tv and youtube.com, it's Vtuber Talk. Tonight's guest is Mukya. And now, having done his taxes, here's your host, Jay. Hello. Whoops, that's not supposed to be up yet. Spoiler alert. Well, they just saw some very delicious cookies. We're making people hungry early on. Anyways,
That's
as we're
okay.
hello and welcome to VTuber Talk. I'm your host, Jay, and thank you all so much for joining us this evening. For those of you who haven't been here before, VTuber Talk is designed after classic late night talk shows. Everything here is live, quite obviously, very casual, quite obviously, and the goal is to simply have fun conversations that'll entertain people who are already familiar with the guest while still being accessible for new fans. Please welcome my guest for this evening, Mukya.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mukya. I am a siren with a necrotic affliction, and I run a cafe. Hopefully, you guys come in sometime to get a drink. I can do tea, boba, coffee, hot cocoa. However, the cake is extra, and it's going to cost anything that I decide that it's going to cost that day.
Hey, supply and demand.
Yeah, it's true.
But I am curious, for you, what is your drink of choice of just whether it be your favorite one for a special occasion or just your go-to, your comfort drink? What is it, that drink that you prefer?
So if I'm like gonna make something at home, I prefer like an iced coffee with cinnamon, and instead of creamer or sugar, I'll put in whipped cream at the bottom of the cup, pour the coffee over. If I decide to make it ice, then I'll just put ice. Otherwise, it's like a hot coffee, because the whipped cream provides sweetness and the creamer for me. But if I'm out and about, like if I go to like a new cafe I've never been to, I'll usually get a cafe au lait if they have it. If they don't offer cafe au lait, which is usually like a lot of the chain places don't have that, then I'll get like a cappuccino. And then usually by then I could tell like if their coffee's good or not.
Ah,
Because
okay,
I'm
so you
picky
use
when
it
it
as the
comes to
litmus test. That
coffee.
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you had
Yeah.
two...
Because if the coffee is not good, then no matter how much sugar they add to it, all I'm gonna taste is bad coffee.
That's true, yeah. You had
Mm-hmm.
two specific parts about how you prefer your drink, though, that one is sort of a rare one, and one is a concept that makes perfect sense as soon as you said it, but that I never thought of before. The one that's a bit
Mm-hmm.
offbeat is cinnamon, and I like cinnamon in drinks. It's not where I go with the default, but you just sort of remind me of, oh yeah, cinnamon is an option. I should make a point to try that in more drinks more
Yeah.
often. And then,
Mm-hmm.
whipped cream is a relatively common thing at cafes, but they always put it on top. And yes, one of the first things I do when I get my drink is that I take a stir and I'm trying to sort of poke the whipped cream down into it to
Into
actually make
it.
it so it's mixed in with the drink,
Mm.
and just put it on the bottom of the cup so when it's poured over, it just gets mixed in. How
Yeah.
have I never thought of this before? Like, you've opened my mind,
Yeah.
Mukya.
Yeah. It's just like making an affogato. You put the vanilla ice cream at the bottom of the cup, and then you pour the coffee on top of it. Same
Yeah, no,
exact kind of
just it
process.
feels so obvious now. Oh,
Mhm.
and you mentioned that you had actually gotten some boba after a slight struggle today, initially
Yeah.
having your
Mhm.
order canceled, and then you found a new place. What did you end up getting for your boba order today?
So I can't say the name of the drink because it's very particular to a place that's exactly
Ooh.
like where I live.
Gotcha.
But it's a blend of a drink. It's Vietnamese coffee and milk. I think it's coffee and milk tea, and then they put it together, and it's like their own special kind of like 50-50 of that. And it doesn't come with boba or anything like that, but you can add it in for about like 60 cents each. So I get it with custard and coffee jelly. It's really good.
Very nice. Ooh, and coffee jelly. That's another sort of underappreciated one because
Mhm.
obviously there's tapioca and then there's fruit jelly. I do like lychee jelly a
Mhm.
fair bit myself.
Yeah.
But putting a coffee jelly in a non-coffee drink just to get that little bit of extra taste to it is another one
Mm.
that I do really enjoy.
Well, in the one that I got, it's coffee and tea together. So I do
The drink or the
because I
jelly?
do the jelly.
Ooh,
So
okay. I've
so
never
the
heard of
drink
mixed jelly.
no, so the drink itself is a blend of Vietnamese coffee and milk tea.
Hmm.
And it's like it's both of those in one cup.
Okay.
And because it doesn't come with boba or anything like that, I get it with custard. Um, it's like they call it egg custard, and it's just like a custard that they put like scoops of inside, and then
Hmm.
pieces of coffee jelly that's small enough as if it was boba.
Okay. I thought
I've
you were
never
saying that it
put
was a
coffee
jelly
jelly.
made of a combination of tea and coffee. And that's where I was
That
initially a
would
bit
be
confused.
good.
But it's, yeah,
That
saying,
would be
wait a minute, I
good.
kind of want this now.
Yeah, that would be really tasty.
Mhm.
Mm.
Where does
But
your,
yeah, so
sorry, go ahead.
that's what I got.
Do you know, is there a particular experience or shop or perhaps just even, I guess, a ritual of sorts that is the origin of your interest in cafes and in drinks like this? Because obviously, everyone has usually tea, coffee, or some sort of drink growing up one way or another, but
Mhm.
that for it to become something that is more personal to you, and certainly for it to become something that you make a cornerstone of your entire branding, frankly, that
Mhm.
it suggests that somewhere along the line, coffee and these types of drinks became particularly meaningful to you. And do you recall when that might have happened?
So ever since I was a kid, I was always been around coffee because my mom's side of the family is very big coffee drinkers. So
Mm.
I learned how to properly make a pot of coffee when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and like how to clean the coffee pot, how to grind the coffee, like what grain it needs to be, because the longer you grind coffee beans, and it was always fresh coffee beans, we never did processed, we never did instant, it was always fresh beans from like the store, either like on a shelf or some places like Sprouts where they had it, where you can go and like get the beans yourself, and it was like very very fresh coffee beans that way. We would like my parents showed, or technically my mom showed me how to grind coffee to make it into a drip grind, because the longer you grind the coffee, then it goes into more of an espresso kind of ground.
Mm.
So I would have to say it would be like, because my mom just didn't want to make the coffee anymore, so showed me how to do it. So she could just be like, Mukya, go make a pot of coffee. Okay.
Mm. Okay, so it ends up being twofold because, first off, just having it be something that is sort of running in your family.
Mm,
Neither of my parents really drank coffee, but that definitely, if it's something that is common in your household, but then sort of the additional part where you end up being asked to make it, and that, your parents ask for a drink, that it's not a very absurd ask. And yeah, I can do that. And then
yeah.
it becomes sort of a meaningful thing because then you're doing a little something for your family. And especially since it sounds like you have a good relationship with your folks, that can definitely make sense how it becomes something very meaningful to you.
Yeah. It was always the thing at any family gathering. There would always be, everybody would show up to whoever's house was hosting the gathering, and uh, there'd be a pot of coffee ready. And then after dinner, because everybody usually stayed for dinner, and then there'd be another pot of coffee. And it was
Mm.
just like, even to this day, if I go over to like my aunt's or my tia's place, or I go over to my grandparents' place or whatever, it's the same thing. There's always a cup of like a pot of coffee ready to go when everybody gets there, and then after dinner, everybody has a cup of coffee afterwards too.
Ah. Mm. Yeah, like I said, my parents weren't really big coffee drinkers.
Mm,
My mother says to this day she loves the smell of coffee, does not care for the taste. She just doesn't really like bitter
mm,
things, and that was definitely the case for me growing up. I, but I'm a very adventurous eater and drinker, so I would always try coffee like once every 2, 3 years, just be like, okay, maybe I
mhm,
haven't had the right blend yet or something. And it, as many people say, that sort of as your palate matures and that you end up, I don't know if the right phrase would be that you become more tolerant of bitter tastes and such,
mm,
that somewhere along the line, I realized that it was something that I was able to not be disgusted in the way that, like, when you're a little kid, you have something bitter like that, and it's like, ew, that's very icky. But at least for me, eh, around when I turned like early 20s, that was like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay, now I get it. Certainly not something that I have all the time, but it's something that I've been increasingly really able to appreciate. And I always love if I'm going to a cafe with
Mm.
friends that I'm always going to try something.
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely the thing with a lot of like the bigger coffee branches too is a lot of the times the coffee that they get um is old, pre-ground, and super bitter because it is pre-ground.
Yeah.
If you can go to like a smaller place where they grind the coffee there themselves and they actually have like the big machines that are like really loud, that's how you know it's going to be a good cup of coffee. And you can even request different roasts.
Mm,
If you go to a place like Starbucks, 90% of the time, any of their drinks are going to be some type of concentrate, and it's a dark roast, and it's been sitting there since, you know,
goodness knows
2 or
when
3 hours ago.
if you're lucky, it hasn't been
Mhm.
around very long because they, in some ways, and I say this obviously with my relatively limited knowledge, but I'd imagine that the busier places probably end up being a bit better simply because if they are selling a lot, they are probably cycling through their beans and their coffee at a faster rate. So you're just simply more likely to have something that is fresher because they're having to refresh, uh, you know, uh, their machines at a higher rate. But
Yeah.
to your point, I think that's something that's not just applicable to cafes, but for restaurants. That if you go to
Mhm.
a Domino's or a Papa John's, any standard, run of the mill pizza chain, and get a pizza, it'll be okay. But if you go to a mom and pop place or someplace that is making their pizzas by hand, that analogy of
Mm.
the grinding the beans, that when you have a big chain, they're reliable and consistent, and the floor is perhaps a bit higher, but the ceiling's also a lot lower. And that anytime you can
Yeah.
find a good place, really for any type of drink or cuisine, that's when you're going to have something special.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. One of the biggest things that I've noticed with a lot of like, just for an example, right? If you go into a Starbucks, they don't really have those big machines to make the coffee anymore.
Nah.
It's all from some type of pitcher or some type of like concentrate that they use, especially like their teas and stuff like that. A lot of it is just from some type of like pitcher or some type of thing that they mix with water.
Yeah.
They don't grind the coffee anymore. They don't have the big machine to grind the coffee and make the individual shots of espresso. They don't have that anymore. It's all some little button that they just press a button and then they refill the tank with the concentrate that they use. But I mean, they're so big now that they kind of like can't really do like
Yeah.
roast the
Just
beans and
the
grind them and make it like that anymore
the
because
amount of
there's like
time it
you
takes to make a
yeah.
good and proper pot of coffee, one, just naturally slows things down, and two, for the number of people that they have to employ, not everyone's going to know how to make a good pot of coffee,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
that they need something that is, I don't even necessarily want to say idiot proof, but just is sort of knowledge proof, that anybody who has basic competency and that like, all right, you're not going to be rude to our customers, you're going to show up on time. That's all we're going to ask of you. You're not going to need to take a crash course on how to properly brew coffee because we know
Mhm.
that's just not practical. But also, we don't want someone who doesn't know how to brew a cup of coffee brewing a cup of coffee, because then that means what we're serving will very likely end up being bad. So we just need to have
Yeah.
this easy, consistent thing. And it is what it is. It's, call it whether it's suffering from success or just what happens when you reach that type of scale. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's I remember being able to go into certain coffee shops and like I would place my order for my drink and then I'd be able to sit there and watch them like get
Mm,
the espresso like the pack that they have to use and then watch them like tap it or taper it, right? That they had to do to clean it out, to rinse it, to put it into the machine to lock it in place and then make the this because we have one that's here like a little home one to make espresso. So being like, I know how to do that because we have one here at home, but I know people, it's not really something that you just pick up. You're just like, oh yeah, I just learned how to do this. You know what I
It is
mean?
a
Like,
skill. It's a very particular
yeah.
thing. And, if you can go to a nice local coffee joint that you're able to see them go through all that and, see that process done. And it's
Mm,
not something that people just know. And it's not something that you're going to be able to just get even from a manual, because there's the balance to everything. And
mhm.
these are skills that I myself know I could not brew a proper pot of coffee. It's just not knowledge I
Yeah.
have. I'm sure I could
Yeah.
learn. Anyone can learn something, but the ones that are able to brew really exquisite cups of coffee are akin
Mhm.
to high-end bartenders at alcohol bars, that they know that proper balance.
Oh
They
yeah.
know the
Yeah.
proper way to mix things, and you're gonna pay more, and it's probably gonna take more time, but you get what you pay for, certainly.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly. Yeah. It's definitely a skill that I kind of feel like a lot of people no longer have access to. Like when I was in college, I applied for different coffee places to like work there as a barista. Um, because like I had that knowledge of how to use a machine like that. So I knew like what to do and how to clean everything and whatever, how like to process everything. I already knew how to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But even my friends that already worked at those same coffee shops, they've told me, they're just like, yeah, we no longer make them by hand anymore.
Yeah, if anything,
It's
you're
all the concentrate
overqualified.
that we. Yeah, now now it's just like they don't even have the machine there for me to like even do that with. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like I probably wouldn't have stayed for much longer because they don't have that. They'd just be like, okay, so now you just got to mix this water with this juice and put it in, put this much ice. That's why they have all those lines on the cup, so they could be like, okay, it's this much ice, this much of this thing, this much of that thing. Put the lid, here's the straw, call it a day.
Yeah. Actually, come to think of it,
But
have you ever done a coffee grinding ASMR stream?
no, it's way too loud.
Sorry, I should rephrase this. Of definitely not using a machine, but like, I'm not sure if there's any way to use like a hand grinder and do it slowly, because at least I
It's
think I've
way too
seen
loud.
one or two of those, but it may have been something different.
I mean, like maybe a mortar and pestle, because then it's like that grinding sound, but
Mm,
otherwise, like grinding machines, you have to imagine it's a cylinder like a cup, right? And then it
yeah.
has the bottom part or like the top part kind of like hollowed out, and then the actually grinding part thing is at the bottom, and then the inside is metal. So you have
Mm,
these little roasted beans being ground up like in a blender, running against this metal cup that they're sitting in, and the top is usually like to keep it all in, like the lid is plastic. So you have the sound of the grinding, the sound of the metal, the sound of the plastic, all against these little coffee beans while they're being pulverized.
yeah.
That's really loud.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I guess bad idea on my part. Probably actually not the best for ASMR.
Yeah, I mean maybe like playing with coffee beans, sure, but I mean then you have to clean your hands afterwards, unless you put them like in gloves or something, but not coffee grinding itself.
Mm,
Unless it was like pre-recorded and you just make it like super super quiet, but otherwise if you do it live, it's going to be really loud.
yeah, the thing that I'm thinking of, and it must have been something else, but it looked almost like a spice grinder, effectively.
Hmm. Yeah,
And that
it's the same thing.
they were sort of rotating, but it was a very slow one. Certainly, the objective was definitely not to actually grind the coffee beans, but to simply, I guess, create the friction to get. And it was a softer one, but that's
Mm,
a bit more engineered at that point. But to be fair,
yeah.
your version, or your uh, your most frequent types of ASMR streams aren't going to be sounds or triggers as much that you do from time to time, but most of what you do is reading.
Uh, yes and no, because I split my week in half with my content, and I do Monday, Tuesday ASMR, and every Tuesday I read a book, and every Monday is a different variations of triggers and stuff like that. So like Mondays, or like the first Monday of the month, I do like woods, different type of wood sounds, and then every other, like the second Monday, I do like watery sounds, and then I play like ASMR games. It just kind of depends on like what time of the month we're in.
Mm,
But a majority of my content is focused on like meditations, affirmations, and just general talking for comfort.
yeah. And that's definitely sort of what drew my attention to you, that I do love a good talker.
Mm, mm, mm.
But I didn't actually realize that when you do more sound effect and trigger streams, that you had that more active curation and theming. Because
Yes.
I've seen a couple of those streams of yours, but I guess I hadn't really processed that you had those more active themes. Do you have a particular favorite theme, or one that you found, I suppose, the most versatile?
That would be the third Monday of every month, because that's kind of like a wild card week.
Mm,
I usually kind of do like light RP and script reading, and then I'll pick like 4 or 5 items to play with, and it's just things that I personally like playing with. And like the script readings are just like short scripts, something that I can do in like 2 to 3 minutes. And this week the theme was like confessions. So it was all the scripts that I had that I picked for myself to read were what's the word, like narrative confessions of like someone who's falling in or out of love with the listener.
mm.
So those were fun. I liked those.
And you mentioned that you selected a couple of items that you enjoy.
Mhm.
What were those items? And well, actually, I sort of have a follow-up, but just for starters, what were the items that you had for this last one?
For this last one, I had water globes, lace gloves. What else did I have? Oh, squish balls. So like different squishy sounds. So when you
Mm,
squeeze them, they have like different squishy type of like tones. One of them was more of like really wet. It sounded like you were squishing like Play-Doh or something in your hands. And then the other one was a little bit more dry, and it made me think of like rice, like
ooh,
playing with rice, you know?
that's
So
super neat.
those were fun.
Do you have a storage solution for your different ASMR? I don't know if the proper term here would be tools or objects, but I know some
Mm.
folks have said that like they have a cart next to their desk that they can pull in or push out for streams. Others will keep things in boxes. Others have them strewn about and will just collect on any given day the particular subset that they
Mm.
want to use. How do you arrange or organize your different ASMR tools?
So I used to have them kind of just scattered about because a lot of the things that I use and play with are things that I've already kind of had. A lot of the new items I purchased are like because I started doing ASMR, like the wooden frog, I didn't have one before,
Mm,
but I picked one up because that's like a common thing that people like to hear.
yeah.
But this past week, I actually got a new bookshelf, and I put them, all those pieces that I don't consider to be like something that I've already kind of had. I put them all in a box in like on the bottom shelf of my bookshelf, my new bookshelf.
Mm,
And then the idea is to like pull it out, and then it's just like, okay, this week we're doing these items, then we just take them out and put them here. I used to have every single item that I do, like all the trigger things, all of them. And I didn't have a shelf or a cart or anything like that, so they were just on my desk, and I hated it because it took so much time to put everything out, and then sometimes stuff would fall off my desk or I couldn't find it because it was like it under something.
yeah,
And
no,
so
it
I'm
just
just like, if I
falls
just
into the void.
focus, yeah. So it's easier for me to have focus items so then people can kind of like have a smaller list, because it's the whole idea to me of, if you have so many options, you're not going to want to pick anything. But if you have a smaller list to pick from, then it'll be easier to pick something.
Yeah. Analysis paralysis certainly exists in all things.
Mm-hmm. So
Do you have
it
any
just makes it
items?
easier for everybody.
Do you have any items that you are either hoping to add or planning to add to your collection soon? Something that you don't have yet, but it's sort of high up on the list of, ooh, I want to make a point to get something, if it's a specific item or an item that you don't necessarily know specifically what it is, but know the
Mhm.
sound that you're looking for.
So there's this thing that my friend Birdie has, and it's this like little, it's like a little wooden board, and on top of the board are these little tiny like plastic like buttons all in a row. And she just like drags her nails across it, and it makes like a light like tappy sound of her nails just dragging across it. It sounds really good. I like that, but I don't know what it's called. And I've seen people like use those button things to make like paintings. It's like jewel painting is what people call it. But it's just like a single color on a little piece of board, and you just drag your nails across it. And it's small, so I could just kind of like slip into like anywhere that I want. So there's that, and then I actually purchased some other items for like, because I do this thing called ear cleaning RP, where I will, with my microphone, I'll like dig something out of the person's ear, and I'll like have a little script that I kind of like go through that's in my head, and it's just like, okay, so I could feel something in your ear, and it's kind of squishy. I think it's Play-Doh, or I think it's, last year's Halloween candy. And it's always just something that obviously could not actually fit
Yes.
in your ear. Yeah, one time we dug out spaghetti. That was fun.
Why do you have a 24-karat gold nugget in your ear? How did that get there?
Yeah. One time I said, what was it, coral? I said that had coral in their ears. It just, whatever comes to mind. And people are just like, listen, I was at the beach, and like chat plays with me while I like come up with different things that we find in their ears, and it's entertaining for them, it's fun for me, and I try to keep it different every single time. I try not to stick to the same things, but sometimes people are like, can we find this in my ear? Yeah, all right. Sure.
Well, hey, if you put it in there, eventually I will find it, yes.
Mm-hmm. If that's where you're storing your coin collection, then yeah, all right.
I mean, I wouldn't advise it, but then again, I suppose that's why you're here, to have it removed anyways.
Yeah. So I got some new toys, like little things to kind of like play with that I already kind of do,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there any particular item that you feel you've gotten particularly adept at using? So one that, most of these items, it doesn't take inherent skill to get a sound out of it, but someone who is really familiar with an item and has practiced with it for a while might be able to get a deeper variety of sounds, or know how to control its volume and the finesse of it in ways that somebody like me, who is just not very familiar with those types of tools, might not even expect. Is there something that you feel is, whether it's a specialty or just one that you can tell you've gotten a lot better at using?
It's kind of hard to say, because there's certain items that I use pretty consistently, and some items that I don't use that often. And like, I've had people tell me that they really like the way that I use the wooden frog, because it's basically like this little frog, and you have a stick, and you has little spines on the back of it, and you run the stick on the spine of the frog, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take, like you said, it doesn't take a whole lot of skill to do that. Hey, Bard. And but everybody that tells me to do that one, they like it to be softer. So I've gotten good at using the wooden frog in a softer way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because everybody always asks for the frog. They want it to be soft and quiet. So I've just, like, I could, without even having to look at it now, I can kind of be like, all right, I know about where it is in my hand. because it's small, right? So you have to hold it in your hand, and then I know like how gentle I need to be to get the sound that I know that that person likes.
Yeah. I have seen those frogs before, and I know that getting a medium sound or a soft sound out of those is much more difficult than a loud sound, because a loud sound, you just apply a lot of pressure. Pretty easy to get
Yeah.
something that's louder. But
Hmm.
being able to still apply enough pressure so that a good and consistent sound is generated and that it's audible, but that it's still controlled enough that it is on the softer side is very difficult. Because then on the other end, if it's just very
Yeah.
soft and you barely graze it over the spines, you might not get much of a sound at all. So you need to actually
Yeah.
know really that target amount of pressure to put on it, and I can definitely see how that would take that type of practice.
Yeah, that one mostly because like the first couple times I had to like watch myself to see like how I did it, and then eventually that's just how I play with the frog now.
Yeah. And for the reading streams, you mentioned to me
Hmm.
that you've been swapping selections between ones that you choose and that chat chooses. And
Yes.
uh, as I go to triple check, I believe was it that you just started or just completed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
We just finished the first book of 20,000 Links because it's broken down into two books and about 20 to 24 chapters, or sorry, 22 to 24 chapters per book. So the first book is 22 chapters and the second book is 24 chapters. So, yep, last night we just finished the first book and we read the first chapter of the second book.
Ah,
Um, yeah, but the way that from when I first started doing my reading streams is I picked the very first book. And then once I got close to the end, I made a poll in my Discord and chat gave me recommendations of books that they wanted me to read. And by the time we started the next book, we were reading Dracula at like the start of October. So we just finished Dracula, I believe like the end of January, and I started reading Alice in Wonderland because Alice in Wonderland, I finished it in 2 nights. I was just like, I'll pick another book that's a bit longer. Um, and so I picked 20,000 Leagues, and then after this book, then I'll do another poll for chat to pick. And they've already given me some suggestions, so I'll probably be able to make another poll in like another week or two, because 20,000 Leagues, each chapter is relatively short, so I can do like 3 or 4 chapters a night. Um, so probably in the next like 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be able to start another book.
is there since this next one is going to be chat's choice, do you already
Mhm.
have your next selection queued up in the back of your mind? Whether or not you're going to actually say it right now, but do you know, or is that something that you're going to be deciding a bit closer to when that happens?
There's a couple that I've always wanted to read. Things that people have recommended before that like didn't make it onto the list this time, but like maybe I could use their suggestion for next time. And one of them is uh what was it? King Arthur. It's like one of the King Arthur books.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I've never read those and I've always kind of wanted to, so I thought that'd be a good one to do with chats.
Mm, yeah, and
Mm.
definitely you and chat have plenty of options. Basically, the only thing that really matters is it does have to be public domain, just
Yes.
content and copyright and everything. But fortunately, there are many classics that are out there in public domain now, and so a good number
Mhm.
of options for you to choose from. And I think that was the first stream of yours that I saw, because, like I was saying, for me as well, that I do enjoy ASMR that is more talking based. Surprise, surprise, the talk show host likes talking,
Mhm.
but that I don't necessarily want to say a rare type of ASMR, but it's certainly less common than the sound effect and trigger ASMR streams. And so that was one that when I saw, because you were reading Dracula at the time, that sort of caught my eye. I was like, oh,
Yeah, Dracula is it's a good book for anyone who has ever wanted to like uh no, because the way that it's written, Dracula is written in it's not a single person who's telling the story. It's not third person where you're kind of just like looking over everybody's shoulder about what they're seeing.
Mm.
It's all through like letters, newspaper clips, journal entries. So it's very much like if you're reading somebody's like report directly from the person itself, right? So it's like if there's 5 people and all 5 people are writing down like, okay, so yesterday I did these things and then I went and I met this person. And then you go to that person's journal entry and they're just like, yeah, so I saw this person. And then after I left that person, I went and I did this and this happened to me. And then like, then it's all very much, I forget the word for it. It's not third person. It's not second person. It's like various, like I said, letters and journal entries and newspaper clippings and
primary
recordings.
sources, I guess, would be
Kinda, yeah. And it's to read a story like that has the perspective of different people, and then you have to like think about how that person sounds. You're constantly having to like change tone to understand, like, suddenly I'm reading Mina Murray's journal, and then after her journal I'm reading her husband's letters to Von Helsing, and then you're reading Von Helsing's letters to one of the person who's supposed to marry Lucy, and then now you're reading Lucy's last journal entry before she's on her trip to wherever. So it's constantly having to like turn into that character to read that entry. It's tiring, but it's so much fun.
Soul of Terra just taught me a new term, and I did just look it up to confirm. It is epistolary fiction.
Yes. Yeah. Like episode. So yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
those are always fun. That it becomes something of a puzzle, really, because it's even if it is done linearly in the sense of, okay, these different episodes are being done in chronological order, that doesn't always mean the space between the episodes is the same, and obviously the perspective and the presentation of the episodes is different, so you're sort of having to mentally fill in those gaps of, okay, this is something that may have been happening at the same time or very close to the same time as that previous one, and they're maybe even referring to the same event from different perspectives, or, okay, it's clearly been several months since that last event, and seeing that timeline be created from all those different perspectives is definitely a fun one. I really enjoy non-linear fiction, ones that are jumping around to different points in the timeline, and that you're sort of having to piece together the order as you go, because they're not always going to say, okay, this one happened 7th in the timeline of things you've seen so far, and sort of discovering the story in that way is similar in some ways to having to pronounce this epistolary fiction. But yeah, anytime that you get an offbeat method of presentation in fiction, whether it's in film or in literature, is always very fun.
Well, the thing with Dracula is it is very linear, and everything's dated, so it'll be like 27th of May in whatever year. Yeah, so it is like you can see the very first entry of when everything starts happening with Jonathan Harker, and then it goes to the very, very last thing, and it's like almost day by day, because it also the first half of the book is all Jonathan Harker, because like nothing could really happen until Dracula leaves the castle and goes to London, right? So everything is from the perspective of Jonathan Harker until you get towards like the 5th or 6th chapter, and then it goes to Mina, who is like the next closest to him. And she's talking about like, it's been so much time since I've seen my fiance, and now I'm on vacation with my best friend Lucy at this place, right? So what happened to Mina and Lucy while Jonathan was over in Transylvania, we have no idea. It's like, it doesn't matter because it's not part of the story, right?
Yeah.
And then it picks up specifically like a week after the last entry from Jonathan Harker. right? So there is a little bit of time skips, but it's not a whole lot because it's the perspective of a bunch of different people, all kind of like lined up, so you can see the start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I liked it. I really enjoyed Dracula. Part of me was kind of upset that there was not a single entry from Dracula himself. I thought that would have been really cool, even if it's just like one small chapter or something. But the whole story is told from the perspectives of Jonathan Harker, Mina, Lucy, her three like people that were like in love with her. I forget the word. Admirers, and Von Helsing. It's only from them, and then like 2 or 3 different paper clippings from like newspapers to kind of like feed more information of like, okay, so this thing happened and here's where it started. Like a wolf attacked somebody in the park, right? But this is where the wolf came from. It came from here. So that you kind of understood, well, why was there a wolf, you know?
Yeah.
So it was the author did a really good job. I still don't think he knows how to write women very well, but for the time that the story was written,
I was going to say this
he did
was how many centuries ago, and
yeah, I think it was like 18 something when the book came out, but it's a very good book.
Yeah.
I really, really liked it.
Have you read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
I have. When I was in high school, I did not like it.
Really?
But again, it was high school and I had to read it as opposed to wanting to read it.
That's funny because for me, I also had to read it in high school, and it is the assigned book that I enjoyed more than any other. There were a lot of books I did not care for. Part of it may have also been that it was a summer reading book, so it was one that I had to do, but was able to do on my own time, not one during the year where it's, okay, you need to read this chapter by this date for this quiz, blah, 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 blah. So that may have helped.
No, that definitely makes a difference, I think. I never had to really do any summer homework unless I was in summer school. But like summer classes to like either get ahead, or I didn't do well enough to really like pass that class, then I had to take that class again. But the one thing I can say, and I'm struggling with 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea right now because it's different authors, obviously, right? Shelley and who does 20,000? Verne? I think it's Verne, right? No? That does 20,000?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking Dracula.
Oh, yeah. No, that's just 20,000. So 20,000 Leagues and Mary Shelley, what I'm finding that I have the most difficulty with them specifically is how often they want to describe things that have nothing to do with the actual story.
Oh.
There's like a level of detail. They're just like, okay, so the room is this big. And on this one shelf, I'm going to list every single item that is on this shelf. And I'm going to tell you specifically the genus, the color, the shape, the texture. I'm just like, what does that have anything to do with the story? Like,
I get that you're trying to create the scene and that you're going to try and really immerse me there. We don't need to take a page and a half for this.
Yeah, and that's what I'm struggling with 20,000 Leagues, is he really likes to list things. In the first chapter of The Professor, going into the submarine, he's talking about this lounge, and he goes, there's all these bookshelves and all these different types of books, and you can tell that like whoever, the Captain Nemo, when he's reading the books, he doesn't really care what the books land afterwards. After he reads them, he just puts them back on the shelf. But then he goes to this display case where there's all these different seashells and other like coral and like all this stuff that you would find like in the ocean that can just kind of not be underwater and still be preserved in some way, shape, or form. And he goes, and there was this seashell from this location in underwater, and it was this color, and it's this genus, this whatever from the fucking periodic table, I don't even know. And then he does that to like, and he'll list like 9 or 10 things.
Yeah, and for the first couple times, it's like, okay, so this is probably something I have to really pay attention to. This is definitely going to come up later. And then you realize, oh, there was no relevance to any of that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm just like, He literally could have said there was a shelf with seashells from this place and this place and this place of various colors. And anyways, back to what's actually going on around me.
Get
It would've
on
been
with
fine.
it.
Pretty much. And that's what I'm struggling with 20,000 Leagues. It's still a really good story. And I'm liking, now that we're further in the story, there's less lists. But that's just how Jules Verne writes. He really likes to kind of like flex. He's like, all right, I'm gonna tell you the genus and the family tree and where this specific seashell comes from. You're just like, okay, but this literally has nothing to do with the story. I could skip this whole paragraph and it's not gonna matter.
Wrapping back for a minute, you actually mentioned to me when we spoke the other day that when it comes to ASMR auditory triggers, that you have 3 or 4 specific ones that you really enjoy.
Yes.
And I had you not tell me what they were at the time. So what are the 4 that when you are just going to listen to ASMR for yourself, that you mentioned that like it's the short list of 4 that you do enjoy, and that if it's not those 4, that it just doesn't do it for you?
Yeah. So the thing with ASMR, right, is it's a physical response to certain sounds, right? Like it's like a brain tingly sound. I've even had people say that like they get this sensation that like goes down their arms. I don't physically experience that at all. So ASMR doesn't make me feel anything, but certain sounds will make me feel comfortable. And one of the sounds is someone gently talking, not whispering, but gently talking, or just talking softly. I don't like whispers. Whispers, it's that S that always irritates my ears and makes me like cringe. I don't like it. But if somebody's talking, it's fine. So I like gently talking. I like the sound of water like moving in glass. So like I have water globes, which it's like these cylinders in the shape like imagine a round bubble on a stick, but the whole thing is hollow on the inside and it's made of glass. And then you move the water in this little thing and it makes it like sloshy, watery, glassy sound. So I like that. I like typing on keyboard, and I like the sound of someone like if you have a 3DO microphone and like you rub the ears as if someone's actually running their hands on your ears. Those are the 4 sounds that I like the most.
It's interesting because they're all, and I say this again with the caveat of I am not someone who's super educated on ASMR, but that I think of them as very different, because the sound of the clacks on a keyboard is definitely not going to be the sound of liquid in anything,
No.
which is not really going to be the sound of the rubbing sort of not quite scritchy sensation of the ears, which is not going to be soft talking. That, if anything, these almost seem entirely separate in that they are hitting 4 very different styles of sound, and that you have honed in on the exact presentation or type for each style of sound that you enjoy.
Yes.
Because
there's things that people do like.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that it's not just, okay, you enjoy the sound of liquid and that, all these different subsets of liquid, or that you enjoy the sound of certain tactile ones, but the fact that it is almost categorical.
Yes. Yeah. Because the thing with each sound is I've heard a bunch of different things of people like tapping on glass, tapping on wood, tapping on whatever. And it's not bad. It's just my favorite one is keyboard. I like the sound of it. Sounds like somebody just typing away. It's like busy sounding, and I can kind of just like fall asleep to that. Somebody gently talking, I could just fall asleep to that. The thing with the water though is, because it's a physical item, you have to like
Oh, uh-oh. I think we lost audio for a second.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we're back.
Sorry, my bad. I I have a mute button on my microphone and I accidentally touched
Oh,
it.
oops. Last thing I
But
heard was the liquid.
yeah, so with the thing with the water in the glass is because it's a physical item that you have to move, it's not something that can be listened to on repeat unless it's a sound bite and it's been like recorded and just loop it through, right?
Mm,
So the thing with typing is everybody types, right? You
yeah.
can have somebody playing a game and all you hear is just them like typing on the keyboard because they're playing the game and like clicking and moving around. But yeah, those are my 4 favorite ones.
Does the type of typing that you enjoy hearing extend to what you've done for your own keyboard? Or are you more indifferent when it's just your own actual typing, not meant for active listening?
Wait, what? What do you mean?
So you enjoy the sound of typing on a keyboard, and
Yeah.
there's different types of keyboards make different types of sounds. Um,
Okay.
have you made a point to get a keyboard for yourself, just for everyday use, not
Oh.
for ASMR, that is similar to the type that you enjoy in ASMR, or for just everyday use, is it not necessarily something that you, I suppose, selected or even really thought about?
I've never really the type of keyboard, the type of keys doesn't really make a difference. As long as I can hear the typing
Mm,
and it's the same tone the whole entire time, that's fine. But like I've heard people do keyboard typing and it's like this type of keyboard and then suddenly it changes to a completely different type of keyboard and it sounds different. I don't like that. I'd rather it just be the one sound from the same keyboard throughout the whole entire whatever.
mm. That makes sense of just the consistency of it.
Mm.
I actually just got myself a new keyboard for the first time in like 5 years last week, so I'm kind of acclimating currently to, oh, this is very different from the sound I am very used to, but it's softer now, and I do like that because the old one I had was, I'd gotten it as a gift, and it was fine, but I hadn't actually even realized just how noisy it was until more recently. I was like, oh, this is, I'm not hearing it through my headphones quite as much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. No, the keyboard that I have now, I was actually gifted different keys for it. So I have 3 different sets of keys, the one that the keyboard came with, and then 2 other ones. They do sound different, and they feel different too, but as far as like intentional, no, it was not intentional. It was just I found a keyboard that I liked and some keycaps that my friends gave me for my birthday that are really pretty. So that was pretty much that. But yeah, it's not intentional, just it is.
So hopping around a bit, I don't think you actually have access to hearing the BGM that I chose for tonight, but I chose a playlist of soft Legend of Zelda music. And you'd mentioned to
I love
me
Zelda.
that you enjoyed Legend of Zelda and that Majora's Mask in particular is your favorite. And it's certainly one of, I would say, the most popular titles in the series. But for you, what is it about Majora's Mask that really stood out?
So when Majora's Mask came out, we had like a family N64, right? That we like everybody had access to play with. I never really got to play until my brother bought himself like something else right after. It was like a PlayStation or something like that, right? So all the old consoles somehow like they would, instead of getting rid of it, they would just give it to me. They're just like, oh, you can just put this in your room now. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So it was like the first Zelda game I played by myself with no one over my shoulder watching me, telling me what to do, how to play. I just kind of figured it out as I was playing. So it was one of like the first game that I got to play like by myself without my brother or either brother like interfering. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly,
So
I would say
yeah.
probably a more difficult one of just for being as non-linear as that game is, and the time loops and everything. That obviously it's not. It's meant to be something that is approachable and that someone who's younger is able to play, but it's not the easy one of the franchise, that's for sure.
I think I played Majora's Mask before I played Ocarina of Time. So when I played Ocarina, I was just like, oh, there's like a lot of similarities in like the character design and the sounds, and it was very much like copy paste but make it different, you know?
Yeah. Sort of the irony
In certain
of that you
aspects,
played the
obviously.
sequel before the original, and that they can very easily work in either order. But that your play order was not the common one, I would say.
Yeah, from how my friend Inky describes it, it's like Majora's Mask is the fever dream or the nightmare, and then Link wakes up from the nightmare. Because in the beginning of Ocarina of Time, the whole game starts off with Link waking up.
That's true. Oh, I never even thought of
So
it from that angle. That's so good.
and I was just like, yeah, that would make sense. So that's why like a lot of the things seem like his reactions, right, are very much just like, yeah, no, I've seen this before, or I've been here kind of idea, right? And I'm just like, that actually kind of makes sense, yeah. If you think about it like in that way.
I really like that as just obviously they've actually in the past couple of years published the proper timeline for Legend of Zelda, but in lieu of that, I really like that fan theory now. It's because Legend of Zelda has had not one, but at least 2 games where it was a dream to some extent.
Yeah. It was what was the other one?
It was Link's Awakening, and
Yes.
that there was, if memory serves, I think Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks, like one of the 2 DS ones, if memory serves, to some degree was either a hallucination or dream. Could be wrong. It has been a while for that one, but I know for sure, obviously, Link's Awakening. That's the entire plot of the game, trying to wake up from the dream. Gonna be interesting to see with the live-action movie coming next year. Just okay, how's this one gonna end up? And to be fair, the Mario movies have been very fun, but it's gonna be very different for being live action, and also just that Zelda has a plot. Mario doesn't. Mario can get away with just being kind of manic and going all over and doing silly stuff because, to be fair, the games don't have a plot. It's save the princess, go place to place to place, wind up at a lava place, beat the lizard, get Peach.
I didn't know that there was going to be a Zelda movie.
Oh, yeah. It was announced a couple years back. They've announced the actors for Link and Zelda. I cannot remember them offhand. You can see the resemblance, certainly. And if memory serves, I think it comes out, forget if it's April or August next year. For some reason, it's just sticking in my head that it's in one of the A months. But it's going to happen, and it's going to be interesting. And at the very least, I think that Nintendo is probably going to... It will have been some 35 years since Nintendo has tried a live-action film. And after their last one, I am assuming that they are exerting very rigid quality control over it, because it took them 30 years to even attempt another movie at all, animated or otherwise. And I don't think they want to have to redo what they did in 93.
Are you talking about the Mario Brothers like film with, gosh, what was his name?
Yeah, it was
the guy that was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He played
yes.
Mario.
Yeah, and why am I?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, now I'm blanking on the actor's name too. Oh, this is gonna bother me now.
Let's see.
Bob Hoskins.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
It's showing me the wrong one.
And then it was John Leguizamo as Luigi, and Leguizamo has been in various things since. Dennis Hopper, who played Bowser, attributed that film to the fall of his career.
Yeah. Oh. Really? No, that cannot be it, because I remember that movie, and even though I never really like I've played Mario, right? The whole like jump through the tunnels and save the princess, save whatever, right? That movie was just really funny in like a great modern way. It put Mario Brothers in a modern aspect, like at the time, right? For what was it, 19?
He was 93.
Yeah, 1993, right? So for a movie like Mario Brothers to come out at that time, if somebody said, "Oh yeah, no, that's just when the game takes place," I'd just be like, "Yeah, that makes sense." Like it fit for that type of time and everything. But people didn't like it. I thought it was so good. I thought it was funny.
It was certainly a film of all time, and it had a incredible development history. If memory serves, I think it had 7 or 8 writers over 6 or 7 script treatments, because it was a different writer for each script treatment, and that one of the treatments had 2 co-writers, but that it went through so many iterations. And obviously it's one that is fun and silly, and I think has been able to be redeemed in the sense of nostalgia and its own wild history. I don't know if I could call it a good movie. It's one that it's fun and silly and is a great watch with friends, though, at the very least.
It was definitely entertaining, right? And I think
and
that's
certainly
like
for the time when there was nothing like it.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, as long as the movie entertains me, I'm pretty okay with like whatever, as long as I'm entertained. But if I get bored at any time during the film, then it's not doing its job to me.
Yeah,
that's how I think about it. Was I entertained? Yes. Was I bored at any point? No. Then it was a good film.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
It's a good story.
The cardinal sin of any media is to be boring.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of actually want to rewatch that one again now, because it's been a couple years since I've seen it. But
it's been so long.
The Zelda one is going to be out next year, so that'll be interesting. And they actually, I think, just this week announced that there's going to be a Bloodborne movie, and that apparently Jacksepticeye is directing. I can't say that I know much about Bloodborne. I haven't played those games. I'm just terrible at Souls-likes, frankly. But
same.
I'm excited for those fans. Is there a video game or really any piece of media that you would like to see get adapted as either a movie or a series?
The only one that I think would be like a great either a series of films or a series of like episodes. I kind of want to say like it would have to be I feel like it would have to be animated, because there's it would have to be a huge production if it was not animated. Final Fantasy 14 or Wuthering Waves. I think the stories for both of those are so good, and the premise is completely different from like a lot of different media that we have right now, that I think either one would do great as an animated, either like a couple different animated movies or a series. Definitely a series I feel like would probably do the most justice as opposed to movies.
Yeah,
because there's
when you have
so
more runtime.
much.
Yeah, I was gonna say that for FF14 in particular, it's not a game I've played. Just MMOs, not my style, but I know a lot of my friends have, and speak so highly of its stories. And that I look at that and say, do you think, and this is a genuine question as someone who has not played, do you think there is a way to compress it as movies, not a full series, where it could be done? Or do you think it would really have to be a series where you have that extended runtime?
They would have to do it the same way that they did like the Lord of the Rings. So it was like Lord of the Rings was 3 separate films, and then The Hobbit was 1 book and 3 separate films. So it would have to be separate films per expansion. Otherwise, you're putting way too much in one movie, and it's just going to be like so quick.
Yeah,
And like
that's
the
sort of
first
where my mind
film,
went.
yeah, it would have to be different ones because it starts with A Realm Reborn, right? Which is a good like starter, and then things get like really bad at the end. Between the first expansion, Heaven's Sword, and Realm Reborn, like that like in between is a great spot to like end the first film. And then same thing with Heaven's Sword. It starts off with, okay, now they're in Ishgard, and they do that whole storyline, and like they get that big battle out of the way, and then there's the expansion in between before the next one, which is, I've always messed up the name and I call it Stormtrooper.
Oh,
And it's
Stormblood, was it?
Stormblood. Yeah, I call it Stormtrooper though because that's how I remember it. So before, like, that would be a great ending to the second film, which is, you know, then the third film would continue like with that whole other area, because each expansion is a whole other area, different people, different problems, different big battle.
But do you think
so
that
if they
each could be done as one film, and that it wouldn't need necessarily the Hobbit treatment where it's 3 films for one story? You think that they could at least compress each expansion into one film, even if it needs to be a 2.5-hour film?
I think, well, the thing is like, I think 2.5 hours would even be too short for one expansion. Like maybe Heaven's Sword and Realm Reborn could be 2.5 hours because they were not very big if you only did the main story. If you did any of the side stuff, then it was a very big expansion. But main story, 2.5 hours. But I think anything after Stormblood needs to be at least 3 to 4 hours. But no one wants to sit through 3 to 4 hours of a film
definitely doing
nowadays.
2 movies at minimum for that. But at that point, I feel like if you need that runtime, just make it a series. And
that's why I'm like, the only time it would work was like the first 2, and then after that, there's way too much that's going on. And if you want to do it justice, if you're just trying to make a buck, then you could do it, but then you're leaving a bunch of stuff out, or you're changing stuff, which I hate it when movies do that, where they change things. And I'm like, that's not what happened. It wasn't this person that did that, and it was this person, and it's really important that it was this person because it's going to matter later on. Kind of like how they kind of screwed over Aragorn. Did you ever read that book?
No, but that's one that I've heard, I'd say more than any other, and especially of its era, which is definitely represented in the fact that it never got its second movie. That in that era, when like so many were able to at least get a second, because that was, you know, the heyday of young adult novel adaptations, that most were doing very well, or at least viable. And it was Aragorn and Percy Jackson were the 2 that just fumbled right out of the gate.
Well, Percy Jackson, yes, but they were able to like redo it, pick it back up, and kind of like hit the ground running because they have a series.
Yeah, no, that it has had its stay in the sun that was in the past 5 years, but the original film back in early mid 2000s did not get a sequel. But I am glad for those fans that they were able to then get a series, and from what I've heard, that was very well done. I'd never read it, but one of my best friends did, and she said it was really good, a really good adaptation. But the thing with Aragorn and how they messed that one up is, at the end of the film, they killed the character that's supposed to continue the story of the second book. So they literally could not even do a second film. Like, I can understand certain things of an adaptation that, okay, if you need to have an action made by another character because we just literally don't have the time to introduce the character because they were a minor character and they had one big action, but we can't figure out a clean way to get them in, so we'll have it happen this other way. Fine. Yeah. But that's so fundamental.
Yeah. They killed off one of the major characters in the second book. So they physically could not make a second movie.
Did they ever say what
they did?
The intention was? Like, so if you're writing to that, did they then just plan to never have a sequel, or did they have? I need to know from the writer's perspective what. Okay, if you're doing this, if you're making this choice, why?
I'm kind of hoping that's what ended up happening, is they were not actually expecting to do another film, but they just got lazy and didn't want to do another one. I mean, that's what makes the most sense to me.
Yeah,
is
just if you know you're not gonna, or you don't want to, that you just write yourself out of it, I guess.
Yeah. You're just like, I'm just like that. That's what they do with like series, when they just like a character is either leaving or they don't want to do the series, or their contract is up, whatever. They just kill the character off, so they don't have to worry about ever having that.
Oh, they got transferred. They got sent off to a faraway land. Maybe they'll come back someday. We don't know they're not coming back.
Yeah, we have no idea. But like, if the character is killed off, then they are not coming back no matter what. They are gone forever, right? But like with this one, that's the only thing I could think of that would make sense, is if they literally did not plan to do a second film.
Yeah.
Execs melding, probably.
Well, I don't know, because my cynicism is the execs are always going to be looking for profit margins, and that they're therefore going to want to be making sequels because there's money in franchises. So if anything,
and they could have
that feels like the
made
opposite
a second film
of execs meddling, that the execs were the ones that, if there had been this character that had died, that I'd be more suspicious of an exec saying, okay, don't kill this character because we want to make a side series with them or something.
But the thing is with Aragorn also, I believe there's supposed to be a third book, but because what happened with the movie, the author never even finished it. And I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that's what ended up happening, is he was like so distraught or something like that because of like the movie just flopped, because they changed a lot in the movie. Like, things that were supposed to happen didn't happen because it was like the movie starts off with the character already being older than he's supposed to be. And I'm just like, you could literally do a time skip, but it's like, you just didn't want to hire two people to play the same character, one like just a kid and the other one like a teenager or like young adults. Like, okay, sure, not too much of a big difference. The stuff still happened the way it kind of was supposed to. And they, like all movies, they always leave out certain details that in so many ways don't really matter in the grand scope of the film, of this main story. So I get it. But there's certain things that they change that I'm just like, no.
Yeah, just, it's so interesting. And I have this fascination of how things get adapted, because in some cases, for certain things, I'm very rigid of, there's the important points. And then there's other ones where it's like, okay, if you are still telling me something that I feel is in the spirit of the characters and in the spirit of the world, you can change some pretty drastic things about it. And I'm okay with you doing a retelling. And if you're going to do that, at least commit to the bit. If you're going to change it big, but make it feel right. It still needs to feel like something the characters would have done. It still needs to feel like something that could have happened in the original writing.
Like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Did you see, not the M. Night Shyamalan film, but the more recent live-action Avatar series?
No, I heard bad things about it, though.
I actually really liked it in a very particular way. Did you at least see the original Avatar: The Last Airbender, animated series?
Most of it. I feel like I've seen like about 80 to 85% of it. Skipped a couple episodes here and there, but I've watched like the majority of it, and I've seen the ending. So like I know what happens, and I kind of understand a lot without having to see it. So.
Boone Nightingale in chat. Yes, the Netflix one. The M. Night Shyamalan one was an absolute travesty. I don't know how that got out the door, but the Netflix one is. So
I will defend the Avatar film by Shyamalan only because my cousins, my older cousin, she has littles, right? And when the film came out, they wanted to watch it, and it was their introduction into Avatar, right? And it was a great way for them to like get to know the world and the characters and the people. And then they watched the series, and that's how they like got into it. And they have Netflix, and so they've seen the live action one on Netflix and whatever. So that's why I'm okay with the movie, is because it's a great introduction into Avatar: The Last Airbender with Aang.
Yeah, that
Like
that was one I was just like,
because
okay.
they call him Aang, and I was
well,
just like, guys, it's Aang, please.
One thing I at least appreciated, that was very weird, and especially just as someone who had seen the series, that it bothers your ears and it has this visceral reaction. But that's one of those things where they committed to a bit. They extended the first vowel of every character's name, because it was Aang, Sokka, Iroh. It wasn't just one character that they changed the pronunciation. It was all of them. It's like, okay, I don't like that. It doesn't material change anything. And you committed of, okay, this is how these pronunciations are across the board. Fine. I don't get why you changed it. I don't think that there was anything productive to changing it, but sure, fine, whatever. I shrugged to that one. But for the Netflix one, the analogy I use is if the original animated series is this pristine glass square. It is just, it's this handcrafted glass pane, and it is immaculate. What Netflix did is they took a sledgehammer and they smashed that glass square over and over into shards. And then they reassembled the glass square. Some of the pieces are not where they were initially. That, something that was in the upper left corner is now on the right side, and that somehow, after taking all those pieces, it is once again a perfect square. The pieces are in many, many places different. There's a couple that were the same, but there's so many shifts, but it still all fits. They drastically changed the order and location of several events. That there were things that happened in the Fire Nation in Book 3 that they put in Omashu, because they spent a couple episodes in Omashu, and they took several plot points from throughout the first season and others and put them all in Omashu to create the centralized area. And that when I was watching, it was, that's not supposed to be there, but it makes sense that it's there. That works. And that the characters were still the characters. There was really only one character choice throughout the entire season that I really paused at, but I could still say, okay, I understand how that character could be in that place. Or sorry, it'd be in that mental place to make that character choice. And so I tell people, if you love Avatar, you can enjoy that series, but you need to go in with the understanding that you are seeing a different telling of that story. Because if you go in wanting and expecting a recreation, you will be very upset. You will not enjoy it at all. But I think that it's one with that mindset you can.
And that's the thing that I kind of feel like when they do live adaptations or movies based on a series that took like months to get to like the point where, so like for instance, right, the first Avatar movie by Shyamalan, right? It took how many months to get to the very ending of that movie? Like in the series, because it was like one episode a week, right? Yeah. So it was a lot of planning, it was a lot of pacing, a lot of details, and then they had to cram all of that into one film. Technically, they didn't have to go that far into the story. They could have ended much sooner, but they decided to go to the very ending of the first season.
Yeah.
To be in one film. That is a lot of stuff to go into one film, especially because nowadays people don't really want to watch anything over 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And that's like 25 minutes.
And it wasn't 2.5 hours.
20
this was
minutes
still
of credit.
A children's film that it was like, I think it was an hour 50 to maybe 2 hours 10 at most, but I'm pretty sure it was like close to the 2 hour mark. It wasn't Lord of the Rings length. I think that's just a fool's errand at that point to try and take that much and make it that compressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to make it into just one film. That's way too much. Like I said, way too much for one movie. It's difficult and it's almost impossible. You're going to leave so much out. You're going to have to change so much. You're basically making a movie with the same characters, but it's different. You're changing enough of it to literally make it different. So at that point, like, I was like, oh, well, that's not Avatar. I'm just like, yeah, it's not Avatar in the sense of like the series, but it's still Avatar because it tells the important parts enough for you to kind of understand what happens in the first season. If you want the full details, then go watch the freaking series. Go watch the anime. That's the only way you're going to get everything. Because otherwise, you're trying to take you're reading the cliff notes.
Yeah. And I think that's why I like
you're not going to get everything.
Because it is so drastically different that I found myself tuning in to each episode, and I'm looking forward to season 2 and 3 because I don't know what's going to happen. I know generally how it will happen and how it should go, but it was this strange delight of just, okay, once I've, mentally unbound myself from the original, it's just, okay, we're going to this place next, but I don't know who we're going to find there. And they'll probably have the central narrative plot there, but all right, what 2 or 3 other side stories that happened in any other point on the map is going to be here? I don't know what's going to happen. And that's exciting in its own way.
Yeah, exactly.
But for more recent ones that you've been watching, you mentioned that you've been watching a lot of telenovelas.
Yeah. Yeah, so I call them telenovelas, but it's basically just a bunch of different dramas, right? Because I go through this cycle of what I like to do in my free time, right? So I'll watch anime, and then after a couple months of that, I want to like play a very long game with a big story, and then after either I finish the game or I get about halfway through, and then I'm just like, okay, I don't want to play this anymore. I want to go do something else. So right now I'm on my drama kick. So I've been watching a lot of Asian dramas, dramas from like Korea and China, Thailand, but also like British dramas, like what's that one that I've been checking out? I think it's called Luther. It's like I watched 2 episodes a couple nights ago, and I've been watching that pretty consistently, and it's pretty good. And then I go through these sections, so it's just easier for me to call them my telenovelas than listing everything, you know what I mean? Because it's like, as long as it's a drama and it's like some type of televised whatever, I'm into it. So the thing is like, when I'm watching them, I see similarities of just like, oh, when I was watching this Korean drama, they did this exact type of scene, and I'm just like, watch, so and so's going to come through. There they are. Oh, they're going to fall off the building. Yep, there they are. They fell off.
You know the tropes, and okay, what's quote unquote sort of supposed to happen now. Of this is where it's revealed that there was an affair, or someone's about to die, or and anticipating those twists and the sort of satisfaction of knew it was going to happen. And I'm not upset that I called it, because it's almost almost an academic exercise at that point of knowing. And even if okay, this thing is going to happen, you might not know exactly how it's going to happen or which character it'll happen to, or the dialogue and the performance of when it happens. And that's still the fun of watching it.
It's always like you said, the tropes that are kind of go across all the different dramas, regardless of like the language or the country that they're from. But then there's also the ones from just like, oh, this must be obviously I can hear the language, right? But sometimes when I'm watching something, I kind of forget that I'm not listening to it in whatever language it is, because I'm reading it. So whatever they're physically saying doesn't matter, because I'm reading what they're saying.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how I'm understanding it. But I'll something will happen, and I'm just like, oh right, this is a Chinese drama, or yes, this is a Korean one, because this is very classic Korean drama. This is very classic Chinese drama, and it's usually like super extreme people being mean, or like people like praising somebody for making a lot of money, or it's like something along those lines. I'm just like, okay, so everybody's gonna forget about the fact that the main character literally just stabbed that guy. No. Now we're gonna be nobody cares about that. It's because the main character stabbed him, but then they also got a report that they made $50 billion by selling their business, and now everybody cares about that. They don't care about the person who's bleeding to death on the floor. Nobody cares about that anymore.
Yeah, don't worry about it. They're fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. They'll walk it off. And I'm like, no one acts like that. This is why it's in a drama. Because if that actually happened, my big thing is like people would probably do one of two things. There'd be a handful of people actually calling the police, a handful of people trying to stop the person who did the stabbing, but everybody else would be sitting there with their phones out recording everything that happened for YouTube, TikTok, whatever.
Or at the very least of evidence.
Well, you hope.
You hope, but perhaps
TikTok.
I'm too naive and optimistic in that way.
The bystander effect, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I've been really into my dramas lately.
Is there one in particular that you would recommend if someone is looking for a new drama and doesn't necessarily know where to start? Whether it's one that you feel is underrated or even if it's very popular and one that you've been loving?
So one that the Korean one that I just finished is called Marry My Husband. It is a story where the female main character falls in love with this guy, gets married to him, and then her life basically like becomes his servant. His servant and his mom's servant. His mom is not very nice to the main character, and he ends up cheating on the main character after he finds out that she has terminal cancer. She ends up dying, and instead of like that being the end of the series, she starts all over 10 years before she married this guy. Or sorry, 10 years before she died, right? So she basically gets to start everything all over. But the catch is certain things that are supposed to happen will either happen to her or they'll happen to somebody else. So
it's not a perfect time loop.
It's not a perfect time loop, no. So it's just like the first thing that she realizes that's supposed to happen is she trips and falls and she hurts her knee really badly at work. And on the day that that's supposed to happen, she avoids how she tripped and fell the first time, but later on in the day she is like walking down the hallway and turns a corner and somebody is going down the corner with the trolley and bangs into her knee that way. She might have avoided the first time it happened, but her banging her knee still had to happen. So the universe basically put this trolley in her way to make that happen.
Okay.
So other thing, yeah. And it's just like, how does she go about figuring out like, okay, so this thing has to happen. So either it happens to me or find a way to make it happen to somebody else to kind of avoid certain things happening, right?
The universe requires equilibrium type of concept.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's really good. It's really, really good.
In this system, if she had pushed someone else in front of this trolley and their knee got hurt, would that satisfy this condition? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes, because there's certain things that she realizes. She goes, okay, so about the whole terminal cancer thing, right? So she knows way too late that she gets cancer. So she, like when she gets reborn, she goes for a checkup and they tell her, well, it's just this, but if it doesn't get taken care of, then it can cause, cancer. But she catches it because she returns with her memory. But because someone still has to catch cancer, someone else around her that has a very similar lifestyle of what she had to go through before she died, they end up the one that gets the cancer. But when they find out about it, she already did the research to find a specialist who is willing to treat her. And then instead of saying, don't, treat me, treat this person instead. So it still works out, and everybody kind of works out and be's okay, but the stuff still has to happen, even to the main character or to people around her.
So
she's like, okay, which one?
Because
she's
because in a lot of time loops, it's all right, I know what's supposed to happen, and the game is how do I avoid or change what is supposed to happen? And this is that, but instead it's this must happen. And then it's the two-step of, do you let it happen to yourself under controlled circumstances and mitigate the damage? Or do you pass it off, and do you try to mitigate the damage and passing it off? Or is there I can imagine there would be an occasion where it could either be actively weaponized, or potentially, if it's something that could be beneficial under the right circumstance to the right person, where, how do you do that? And that logic puzzle that I really enjoy those types of series. I like those a lot more than isekai power fantasies. I don't need to see, all right, how does main character get bigger, stronger, magic, punch harder? I want to know, how does the villainess, talk her way out of death, or find a way around some very complex political or personal circumstance.
Yeah, it's a really good series. It's called Please Marry My Husband. It's about 18 episodes long, so it's not a really long one, but it's really good. If you like, if you want something a little bit more historical, there's another one that I've been watching lately. And actually, in your chat, Soul of Terra has been watching it because I've been recommending it to people. I think the title is always kind of weird to me. I think it's called New Life Begins or something along those lines. And basically that one is set in more like ancient China, but it's a completely different world because there's 9 kingdoms that were all at war with each other at one point. But to keep the peace, they've all decided to make pacts with each other. And the main character is a part of the pact. Not that she makes the pact, but her kingdom does, and so she's a part of it in that way. And basically what the pact is, that involves her is all the kingdoms send 2 females to one kingdom, and the princes of that kingdom get to choose of those girls who to marry. And so she's from a poor family, but her father is still an official in that kingdom. And it's like each kingdom has their own belief system, their own ruling system. And so each kingdom is different in their own little way, because it's a different country and all together, right? It's just they're all very close together in this area, right? And so the female main character is from a poor family. Even though her father is an official, he's still on the bottom of the totem pole, right? But that doesn't matter because they're still really happy and they do well enough for themselves, right? So they never really want for anything, but they are still considered poor. Her big thing is food. And so in the series, food is kind of a big central point in the whole series, where she's constantly blending flavors. She goes, oh, well, this person is from this country, so they prefer really spicy things. So let's make this thing to give them a taste of their home, even though they are no longer home, And that's kind of how she weasels her way. Not really, she doesn't want to be a part of the kingdom. She wants to go home, but she gets picked as one of the princess consorts to become.
And at the very least, it's okay, if this is my situation right now, I at least want them to like me, because I don't want them to antagonize me, or worse, find me disposable, or have some excuse to harm me. So might as well get them like me, and the way to a person's heart is through their stomach.
Pretty much. So it all starts off with food, right? And gradually you learn about the characters that she's around. They become more central to the story, and how they are involved in everything, and how she grows as a character. And even if she gets like kicked to the curb, the only thing that would happen then is she would go home. It's not like she would be killed, but because she's in the palace, she's married technically to one of the princes. She has to basically follow royal edict. Royal etiquette, because she is in the palace. So there's certain things that she can and cannot do, right? Because they're very strict in the palace.
Yeah.
And she grew up in the country where it's very like not strict. So that she puts herself in bad situations unintentionally, but because of her like charm and everything like that, people are just like, oh, but you know, she made me some really good cookies that made me think of home, and I haven't had that flavor in a long time, so it's okay, kind of things, you know, that happen. It's really cute. The characters are so sweet. And that one is called New Life. I think it's called New Life Begins, something along those lines. And you can actually watch that on YouTube for free.
The good old days of when you could watch anime on YouTube. Those are different times. But it's been interesting that some series have started going back to YouTube that, forget which anime it is this season, but there's been a couple anime over the past several seasons that officially are getting their releases not via a streaming platform in the traditional sense, but YouTube. So it's almost come full circle in that way.
I know that they've done that before with a lot of donghua, Chinese animes, but you had to you get the first couple episodes for free, and then to continue it, you have to become a member. So you have to pay a subscription to that channel.
Yep.
So if they're gonna do that, okay, fair enough. But at least do it like Crunchyroll, where it's like I get all your different series, not just this one.
Oh,
you know?
It's a different membership per channel, and each channel is a different series.
Channel.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, kind of like a streaming service, right? Where you pay a subscription to watch whatever they're going to put on their channel. Same thing with YouTube. Is you'll get the first couple episodes for free, but if you want to watch anything extra, or you have to wait 2 or 3 years for something to even be now you could watch it for free, right? So it's kind of what are you gonna do? People gotta get paid, the artist gotta get paid, and if that's what I have to do to watch the thing, then okay, fair enough. You know what I mean?
But speaking of homemade cookies, that reminds you of stuff. We had a spoiler just at the top of the show because I accidentally forgot to hide it. So I don't want to not at least pay that off. That sort of wrapping back to drinks and food and everything that you had mentioned that, as with many different cultures, that, family gatherings usually have meals or drinks, and whether that ends up being your particular point of origin for cooking. And you mentioned that baking in particular is your area of fondness and expertise, that you sent me several pictures of different things that you've made, and I just so happened to have the cookies actually as the first one up there. So these seem to be very classic chocolate chip cookies, but I'm curious, is this in any way a family recipe, or is this sort of just an old standard, the back of the Nestle Toll House bag that you and your family made?
So those are actually from a cookbook that I got my mom. One year, me and my brother both got mom a book specifically on how to make cookies. It was only cookies in this book, different types of cookies, right? Because when we were kids, that's the main thing that we would bake with her was cookies, because it was really easy to make, and we can use our hands a lot. We didn't have to use big cooking sheets or try and pour the cake batter and the whatever, right? It's just okay, here's the cookie dough, let's make, single them out and put them on a tray to be baked. So that's the recipe from a cookbook that we got her, and that's the only cookie recipe that I use for chocolate chip, because it's my favorite. And that's what I make them from that. But it also has recipes for different food needs. So if you're diabetic, it has different ways to make cookies without having to use added sugar, right? It'll be for the sweetener, you're going to use honey instead, right? Which is not as high concentrated sugar, but it still adds sweetness to the cookies. Or If you can't do flour, it has different stuff that you could use with flour. Or there's this one recipe that you can make with little kids that doesn't have any egg in it. So if they happened to take a piece of raw cookie dough and eat it, you don't have to worry about raw egg. So it's a good cookbook, and it's so old. It's, well, not old. It's actually not that old, but it's so well worn that the cover has ripped off. So I can't even tell you the name of the book.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's how you know a book is well loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's something that I've always loved doing, is baking with my cousin's kids. When they were really little, I would watch them pretty often. Or they would just come over, like family would come over and hang out, or I would go over to their house. And it's easy to get kids involved with baking because it's fun and they get a sweet treat afterwards, right?
Yeah. There was actually a second picture of cookies, and these ones were more it was this one here, that these were more holiday cookies. Seems to be sugar cookies, might be snickerdoodles, can't quite tell, but you had a lot of fun clearly with the icing here.
Yeah, so one year for Halloween, it was during COVID, so the kids, my cousin's kids, could not go out trick-or-treating. So instead, we had a Halloween party at the house. So they still dressed up in costumes, and instead of, like, we had candy that they could get, but they had to win it by playing games. And at the end of the night, I made sugar cookies, and I had like those pre-packaged things of icing, different color icings. So I had like white and black and green and orange and purple and whatever, but they all used the same color. And those are the cookies that my cousin's kids decorated. They decorated all of those. Those are all of them. Well, some of them. They ate a lot of them.
Yeah. Some of them didn't last long enough to be decorated.
Pretty much, yeah. They were just like, the oldest one, he put the icing on the cookie and then just ate it. But the younger ones, they wanted to decorate them and like take pictures. They're just like, I'll take pictures of my cookies. So those are their creations.
Excellently reset it. This next one isn't. No, go back. Stop that. There. Fighting me. There we go. Okay. This next one had caught my eye because this was, as you call it, dressing. The term I usually think of is stuffing, but that this was from Thanksgiving, if memory serves.
Yep, this was Thanksgiving. So the reason why you call it dressing and not stuffing is because stuffing, it changes from dressing to stuffing when it's stuffed into the bird.
That's right.
But it's not in the bird, it's on a pan. And that's just how we've always made it. We don't put it in the bird because then it gets salmonella on it, and then you don't want to eat it. Like, yeah. So, but yeah, so we made dressing, and in the other pot or pan on the left, that is sweet potato with honey and cinnamon and nutmeg, and a pinch or two of like salt, because you want to add a little bit of salt to something sweet, otherwise it's too sweet. And that plate is not tomatoes, those are persimmons.
Yes, I made that mistake. But I do love sweet potatoes. That very vastly underrated vegetable in my opinion, and whether it's putting sweet things on it, that I also really enjoy when you have the little bit of cinnamon. I haven't had honey on it though. I can definitely see how that works. Or if you're just having it with, that's actually one, if you put a little bit of cinnamon on, can be really good as well.
Marshmallows is good cooking. Heck
yeah.
We don't do the marshmallows only because it's too sweet for my parents. But we have before where we put it like on a big sheet and half of it has marshmallows and the other half doesn't.
There you go.
I'll take them. I'll take it without it. I'm not picky, like, at all.
I do not think there has been a sweet potato that I haven't liked, regardless of even just, plain sweet potato on its own. Still very, very good.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then there was this one that these are dumplings, but I didn't actually ask, what is in these? What do we have here?
I believe we made chicken dumplings with like vegetables. There was green onion and carrot and celery in the gyoza or
Mm,
pot stickers. People know them as pot stickers.
yeah, I forget.
Hmm.
Is the simple difference between a dumpling and a pot sticker the method of preparation that a pot sticker is done, in a pot or pan, whereas a dumpling is boiled, I think?
So I've that's the thing, right? Is dumpling could be referred to a bunch of different things,
Yeah, it
right?
does get
Like,
to semantics at a certain point.
yeah, so it's kind of like a dumpling can be pot stickers or like bao, which is are those steamed buns, right? It
Mm,
could even be considered like an empanada. Those all are different types of dumpling. And I think the thing is it's meat or some type of stuffing inside of pastry or some type of dough, and then it's either steamed or fried,
mm.
right? Or baked, I guess, because you can bake dumplings too. So
Do you have a favorite
but
type?
these specifically are gyoza.
Do you have a favorite filling for when it's just cooking for yourself? You're not bothering. It's not entertaining for anyone else. You don't need to worry about other tastes. What do you like for your dumplings or pot stickers, whichever form it might be?
Pork with bamboo shoots and mushrooms.
Ooh, the bamboo shoots. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah,
I usually think of that
a turkey dumpling would
for
taste.
being in ramen a lot. I don't think
Yeah.
I've had leeks in dumplings, but I don't think I've had bamboo shoots in dumplings. But now I kind of want to.
Oh yeah, leeks. Leek and potato soup is the best.
Yeah. And just,
Mm-hmm.
leek can go with basically anything that just, adds a nice little crunch and a bit of texture to things.
Yeah. Well, leek to me, the way I've always kind of looked at it and thought about it and the way that it tastes, it's like a bigger, not as oniony green onion, right?
Yeah, yes.
So in place of green onion, you could just use leek. It's a softer, oniony flavor.
Yeah, it's I don't know of a better way to phrase it than you did of just less oniony. It doesn't quite have
Y-
that
Yeah.
sharpness to it.
Yeah, pretty much. Excuse me.
Now we want to skip over a couple of these because I know it's starting to get a little bit late.
Mm-mm.
This one in particular interests me that this was a spinach and cream cheese omelet, and then I can't
Yes.
quite tell what the sauce is on top.
So in the egg itself, I mixed green onion and a little bit of Spanish thyme
Mm,
and pepper and salt, right? And then inside the omelet itself is spinach and cream cheese. And I just layered it because I didn't want to like cook down the spinach and then blend it and then whatever. I just layered it into the omelet. And then on top is the night before we had pasta. So that's marinara that I just kind of like heated up and then smeared it on top of the omelet
nice.
as like like a tomatoey sauce to kind of go with the other flavors. It was so
Mm,
good. It was a really big omelet too, so I just ate that and a cup of coffee.
sometimes that's all you need. Just
Mm-hmm.
little bit of love to the leftovers, and just one thing that my mother says a lot is if it takes longer to make than it does to eat it, she doesn't want to make it. That um, there's certain occasions for certain things, certain dishes that you will take the time for, but in general, on
Mm-hmm.
the day to day, I'm usually looking for something that can be prepared in relatively few steps, in relatively little time, or at the very least, even if the cook time is a little longer, that the prep time is minimal. Just okay, I'm mixing these things together and then putting it in the
Mm.
oven to bake and then have it. But uh, being able to then repurpose leftovers like this, it just doesn't sound like it was a particularly complex affair, but we were able to make it into something effectively entirely new.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I when it comes to food, if I'm cooking just for myself, I will try to do something that's relatively quick because it's just for myself. I just want to make it and like eat it and then call it a day. But if I'm making it for somebody else and I know I'm going to be making them whatever in particular, I like to take that extra step. I like to take that extra time to make sure that whatever they put on their plate, they're going to enjoy it a lot.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, the
Mm-hmm.
calculus is entirely different when it's for somebody else. If it's for me, whatever, my standards aren't that high. I'm going to be a little fast, a little
Yeah.
lazy. That's fine. If I'm
Yeah.
bringing this to a gathering, or if, family's coming over, now we're taking time because, even if it's, whether it's a more complex recipe and making sure that it's prepared very nicely to just making the presentation good of, if it's for me alone, just having dinner on a Tuesday night, presentation means nothing. Does not matter. Doesn't matter at all. But you're going to give in that extra effort.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it is actually starting to get pretty late, and your streams are usually a bit later at night. And that's, I think, actually how I first found you, that it was, getting a little bit later in the evening, and I was just looking for something to wind down and stumbled across your streams, and I'm very, very glad that I did. That it's been really cool being able to tune in and just see the way that you work, I suppose, for lack of a better term, that you clearly know what it is that you enjoy. You have a very deep understanding of the different things that you do, and I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me this evening, and just taking time out of your busy schedule. Before we wrap up, I have two last questions that I ask all my guests, and the first is, do you have any goals for the rest of the year? We're about halfway through April, so still over half of 2026 to go, and whether your goal is something that is metrics based, so you want to try and reach a certain number of followers, or if you want to try and stream a certain number of hours, or it could be a project, you want to have a debut or a certain number of songs. We didn't even get to talk about your singing, actually, now that I think about it. But do you have any goals that you want to try and achieve before the end of the year?
So I have like two big goals that I want to try and achieve by the end of the year. One of them is like a real life goal where I'm in the process of like redoing my room to be easier for me to stream, because right now it's not like it's difficult, it's just it takes a lot of like adjustment of like my microphone, my keyboard, and everything else to make sure that's exactly where I need it to be. And then after I'm done, it's a lot of like, okay, now let's put everything back the way I had it before, so I can actually like move around in my own room. So I'm slowly like getting new furniture to replace the old stuff, getting rid of things in general to make just so that I don't have like stuff constantly surrounding me. And I've actually had people generously donate things to me, like a new cabinet to put stuff in that's going to go at the foot of my bed, new table legs for my desk, because I don't want to get rid of my desk. I like my desk. It's a solid wood desk, and I do not want to replace it with like engineered wood, right? Like I like that it's hard wood, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's things like that. But for streaming wise, I'm actually like I've been lightly pushing my 2.0 design like crowdfund that I have on my throne. We are at a little almost at the halfway point. I think we're like another $100 to get to the halfway point for the 2.0 art. We already paid the reference sheet artist, but but the actual art for the model itself is, I already talked to the artist. They said they would love to do it, but I don't want to like actually get the commission going until I have all the money ready, because then I could just like throw it at them and then just not worry about like making payments
it's set
on it,
and that you can just get everything locked in, and that way both for you and the artist that you were able to just start the process and go.
Yes, yeah. So that's why we're doing it as a crowdfund thing. And my goal is to try and get that completely funded by the end of the year. If not sooner, if we reach it sooner, great. If not, then I want to do it by the end of the year. That way next year, I could look forward to actually getting the model like completely done and rigged and ready to debut by like my birthday next year. You know, because that's what I would like to do. And then this year it's all about like just saving up and reaching towards that goal.
Very nice, yeah.
And there was another question you asked me. I feel like you said two things. Was that just the one?
That was the first one, yes.
Okay.
The last question that I ask all my guests is, what does being a VTuber mean to you? And that's not what is the definition of a VTuber, but different people get different things from VTubing. I've had some people say, being a VTuber lets me get in touch with my inner child. It lets me be someone I couldn't be in real life. Others have a more, perhaps, clinical approach and say, it's a tool in my tool belt as a content creator, and I'm able to be an exponentially more creative content creator with VTubing with this model than I could be as a face cam streamer, and that I might not have a deep emotional connection, but that as a performer, that VTubing is this vehicle for it. And there's things in between those, beyond, there's combinations, but there's different ways to engage with VTubing and not one singular way to be a VTuber. So for you, Mukya, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Freedom, honestly. I've talked about it very lightly, but when I was in college, I had to basically kind of stop the career that I was reaching towards with my schoolwork because my dad was let go of his job. My older brother wasn't like living with us anymore, and my little brother was in school still, so the only person that worked was my mom. So I had to stop school so that I can also get a job, so that if there was ever the need for me to like help out with, you know, any bills or anything like that, I could step in. And there's been times where I'm just like, I will buy groceries this week. I will pay for this thing this week. And so constantly having to kind of like have that be like the reason why I never really did anything kind of, or like worked jobs for myself, because I wanted to do that thing, and it was always like a necessity, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So now that my family is in a situation where like we're good, don't have to worry about that stuff. I left my last job, which also all the jobs I've had after college, after I left, were very bad in one way, shape, or another, right? They were abusive. They stole from me. They lied to me. They abused in some way, shape, or form. So for me to finally just like, I sat down and I talked to my parents, and they're just like, yeah, whatever, go ahead and leave that job. Like, do something that you enjoy doing. And they're supportive of me. Like, my dad, when I told him I wanted to start doing streaming full time, he bought me my second monitor. He wants to help me get my own internet connection, so I don't have to be sharing mine with my brothers. As well as like, he doesn't watch my streams like on YouTube, but he puts the VODs on and he works because he's a day trader. And so he'll just have the VOD on in the background, mute the tab, because it still counts as a view.
Yes,
and so
does.
he'll just kind of have it running in the background. And so like he supports me in that way. And my mom, she does the same exact thing. So it's kind of like they understand that what I'm doing is something that I'm having fun with, that I'm enjoying doing, and they can see the potential, especially because my mom has actually told me about taking up classes to become a counselor. So then I can then use that for my own streams. So yeah, they're thinking about other ways to basically improve my channel with me, which is kind of funny, but there it is. So it's
cool.
A sense of freedom, and it's something that I can do that I'm happy with. They're happy that I'm happy. And granted, I don't make $1 million doing this, but that is the end goal, is to get to that point where I can be self-sustaining, you know?
Yeah. And That's certainly the dream, and that
Yeah.
I think you are well on your way. That I think you've been very mindful of your own content in the sense of choosing things that you enjoy while still finding ways to be collaborative with your community, for lack of a better term. But certainly, and I am not one to give much advice as someone who's not a full-time content creator, but the conventional wisdom being that you're much less likely to burn out if you are making sure that the content you are making is content that you enjoy throughout. And
Yes. Hmm.
I can very clearly tell the ways that you are keeping yourself and your content guided in such a way that you are still very actively enjoying everything you're doing, even if you are figuring out ways to change, grow, improve along the way, in
Mm.
the sense that is very practical and necessary for someone who wants to make content creation their full-time job. And
Yep.
I think, like I said, I think you're doing incredibly well right now, and I can't wait to see where you go from here. That I'm I'm very confident that 2.0 is a when, not if. And if I were a betting man, that I would say before the end of this year. And I can't wait to see what ends up happening for you. And again, I just really appreciate you taking time to talk with me and be on my show.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It was a lot of fun. I feel like we spent a lot of time on some fun topics like movies and games and stuff like that. Food. Spent a lot of time talking about food, but that's kind of like classic with my channel.
Yeah.
We talk about
Well,
food a lot.
it is on brand.
True, true.
So I do actually have one last question, and some say it is actually the most difficult question I ask all night. I'm so sorry to ambush you with
Okay.
this. I'm going to need you to choose
Mhm.
someone for us to raid.
Ah, okay.
Well,
Let's
while she is
see.
looking, I'll do some last housekeeping. For those of you in chat, thank you so much for stopping by, whether you got here during the pre-show or if you stumbled in along the way. Thank you, Kuriyami Rin. Thank you, Nightmare Nexus, and Bardmaster Brandon for the follows. I went and lost the YouTube list, so I'm so sorry if you subscribed on YouTube. I see you over there in chat. Thank you, Solotera, Albert Evo 21, Kato Kachi 6493. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh,
Bardmaster
Kono.
Brandon over there as well. Always nice seeing folks in the YouTube chat. So thank you so much for everybody over there. I have given Mukya a shout out. For some absurd reason, you're not already following her, and her links are down in the channel panels and in the video description on YouTube. And if you enjoyed things over here, I try to do shows once every week or two. I schedule around my guests, so I cannot promise you anything of consistency, but you can keep up with me here on Twitch, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and it's just VTuber Talk every place, and would love if you have any interest in stopping by again. But even if not, I really appreciate you stopping by tonight. And thank you, Soul of Terra, as well. So who are we going to? It's going to be Fend.
Yeah, Fend is he is a dog VTuber. Dog boy VTuber, I should say. Dog boy VTuber. He's very sweet, and he's playing some Pyro Wash right now. So I thought it'd be,
Very nice.
because it's pretty late, I thought it'd be really nice to go to like a chill, kind of laid back stream after kind of having a really big, major, super lengthy, highly political conversation.
Oh, yes, you know me. You know me. Well, folks, be sure to use some of Mukya's emotes in chat. My channel is actually unmonetized. I never took affiliate, so I have some 7 TV emotes over here. But when you go to other folks, you'll have to use some of Mukya's. But let Fen know that Mukya sent you. And again, really appreciate you all for stopping by. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, everybody. Get some good rest, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.